Let's keep working on the logic to filter playlists by tags. Whenever user selects tags from the left panel, the list of playlists should be filtered. Since we're going to work with tags, there is a separate store already defined inside tags.ts file. And right here, we're going to add one more reactive variable called selected tag IDs. There will be an array of numbers, and those numbers will be tag identifiers. And therefore, I'm specifying the type for this variable, which will be an array of numbers. And by default, this variable will contain an empty array. Next one, we need to have a way to toggle tags. When the user selects certain tag, it will become selected. And when the user clicks again, it should be unselected. So for this, let's define toggle tag function, which will accept tag identifier. And right here, we're gonna modify value of selected tag ID's reactive variable. We're going to use ternary expression to check if the current tag ID that has been passed into this function already included in selected tag ID's array, which means we need to remove this ID from this array. And to do so, I'm going to apply filtering and basically exclude this identifier from this array by using such expression. Otherwise, we'll have to do the opposite and include the newly selected tag into selected tag ID's array. So right here, I'm gonna create new array and destructure all elements from selected tag ID's array, and at the end include new tag, like this. And to be able to reference selected tag ID's variable as well as toggle tag function, we have to export those elements right here. So now let's find out which component is responsible for rendering list of tags. As you can see, this component is called tag list, and individual tags are represented by tag list item component. Let's open up tag list component, and right here I'm gonna accept the whole store into tags store constant. And now whenever we are looping over all existing tags, I'm going to reference this tags array by using tags store variable like this. As a reminder, this tags variable is a reactive array of all available tags that are rendered in the sidebar. Next one, will pass one more prop into this tag list item component, which will be called selected. And by using this prop, we're gonna determine whether the current tag is selected or not. And to do so, let's call method includes on the array of selected tags. And if current tag ID is already included in this array, which means the current tag is selected, and therefore selected prop will be true. Let's open up tag list item component to define this prop by using define props macro. The type of this prop will be Boolean. Next one, I'm gonna extract all these CSS classes, comment them out for now, because we're going to dynamically decide which classes to apply based on the selected prop. So let's pass an array of CSS classes. I'm gonna take this whole list of classes and include them in here. Also, let me add cursor pointer class, because I want the cursor to turn into a pointer when hovering over individual tags. And the most important thing in here will be checking whether the current tag is selected. We're doing this by using ternary expression, and if so, we're gonna apply the following list of classes to this tag. We're gonna make background color indigo with a shade of 600. Let's assign white color of the text, and when hovering over this tag, the color of the background will change on indigo with a shade of 700. Otherwise, background color of the tag will be gray with a shade of 300, and when hovering over on this tag, the color will be gray with a shade of 700. In those cases, when current tag is not selected. Let's go ahead and also remove all classes responsible for assigning background colors and text colors from this list, since we're handling colors separately. And instead, I'm going to use transition colors class in here, which will basically add slight color transition when we're gonna hover over text. Let me remove this commented line, and also don't forget to add comma at the end of this list So before checking the result in the browser, I'm going to open up text store once again and temporarily assign a few texts to this selected tag IDs variable. Those texts will be selected so that next time when I will refresh the page in the browser, we expect to have 3 texts highlighted with identifiers of 1, 3, and 5. And there we go. As you can see, first, third, and fifth texts have different color. But of course, we need to give an option to the user to select those texts that he wants. So let's go back to the editor, remove these pre-selected identifiers, and I will open up the list item component and use define emits macro in here to state that this component is going to fire click event to its parent. We need to send this click event to the parent component when user selects or unselects tag. So right here I will register click event handler and send click event to the parent by using emit function. And after this, in order for parent component to do something when this event is received, we're gonna register click listener on this component and do the following. We'll basically call toggle tag function that we have previously defined and pass identifier of the current tag that the user has clicked on. Let's take one more look at what is going to happen within this toggle tag function. So when this function receives identifier of the tag that is already present within selected tag IDs array, it is going to remove this identifier from the array, otherwise it will include it. Let's test it out in a browser. As I'm gonna be clicking on those tags, they will receive highlighting, which means they are being selected. Let's also take a look at this logic from the data perspective, how it all looks in a store. As I'm gonna be selecting more tags, identifier of those tags will be added to selected tag IDs reactive array. As you can see, in the next lesson we're going to continue working on this filtering logic.